It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas, with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you.
Long time no see. Welcome into a Monday on the Sports Blitz on a Wednesday. It's a little odd. We missed Monday because of the holiday, but welcome back in anyway. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter in the Cogswell Motors studios. Got big news to talk about as the Russellville Cyclones brought home not one, but two state championships over the weekend. We talked with Coach Fuller on Friday, and we didn't get to talk to Coach Long from the baseball team, but the soccer team went out and won 1-0 in overtime. Trying to remember the kid's name that scored the goal. My wife was super excited because she has him in class, and she said he's a great kid. And then on Saturday, the baseball team turns around and they win a 2-0 state championship over Marion in the 6A baseball championship. Weldon, your Cyclones played a whole weekend of state championship action and nobody scored on them.
Hey, 2 for 2, soccer and baseball, 2 championships, Mark. You mentioned a couple of shutouts. You know, the soccer team, just a dramatic victory. We talked about with Coach Fuller about the Greenwood team that they were going to have to face and what they were able to do as far as their goalkeeping, their defense, and able to get a goal against them. You know, at any point, you knew it would be enough. You figured it would be enough to win. And then with baseball, Russellville really did a good job consistently. We're going to talk with Coach Long. I mean, they won the game. What was it, 2-0?
2-0.
And to me, they really could have won it 6-0 because you look at getting guys on base consistently. Russellville had guys on base in just about every inning. They were threatening. They just couldn't get over the hump. And then finally, I guess in like the 5th or 6th inning, they finally were able to break through and get some runs on the board. But it was a good performance by Moyer. I mean, we know he's been sensational.
State MVP.
Yeah, state MVP. I mean, and really, so congratulations to the Russellville Cyclones in soccer and baseball.
Soccer, Landon Short was the name of the state MVP from the 6A boys soccer state championship game. He scored the goal in sudden death overtime. Just imagine that. In soccer, you go to overtime and then you go to penalty kicks. That's how Russellville won the state championship back about, I guess it was 2 years before this year. And it was an incredible championship game. They both, I'm trying to think what the score was. Obviously, it was tied, but they get through to overtime, and both teams got close to scoring. They didn't score, and this is 2 years ago. And then they go to penalty kicks, and I'll never forget it. We've got a video of it because I was down there on the scene. It was my first time to ever really shoot and edit video myself. I was by myself in Fayetteville. I didn't have anybody to ask, anybody to lean on. I had no idea what I was doing. And I got to edit this video together of Russellville winning the soccer boys and soccer girls state championships. So it was a really cool experience. Very glad for the Russellville soccer and baseball teams. Just the joy on their faces. Hey, our boy Blake Young, assistant coach with the soccer team, gets to win a state championship after his 7th grade boys basketball or girls basketball team. No, it was boys. I'm drawing blanks here. Blake Young's basketball team this year went undefeated.
Right.
His soccer team wins a state championship. You might want to move him to head coach of everything because they win in everything. So congratulations to Coach Fuller, Coach Young there with the soccer team, and then Coach Long, who we hope will be calling in anytime to talk about the baseball team. Mark Moyer, the MVP. Chase Bikanovsky with the big 2-run double there to plate some runs. And like we mentioned, Mark Moyer worked around a leadoff triple in I think it was the 6th inning, and was just masterful. He was always their ace this year, but he was one of the better players in the state overall, and he pitched a complete game. And if you watch the video, Cyclone Nation put up a video on Facebook. You can go to facebook.com/Russ Cyclone Nation, and you can look at their little video. When he makes that last pitch, and this is legendary status right here, because before the last pitch, they said that he called the infielders together. And this is pretty sweet. He said, now I can't confirm because I wasn't there, but he said that all that he did, he wasn't nervous and he didn't need them to know anything. He just said, guys, don't dogpile me. I get claustrophobic. He's like, I'm about to strike this dude out. It was pretty awesome. So he throws the last strike, strikes the guy out. They win the game. And the catcher, Elam, comes out, and they do this backflip thing. I don't know if you've seen it. Like, he just jumps up, and Moyer grabs him, and he backflips. And I don't know why, but it's kind of cool. So they get to celebrate there at Baum Stadium. I mean, that's going to be a memory they carry around for a lifetime.
It really is. And, just going back to the game, it was one of those games that, and I was listening to it on the radio, where you hoped Russellville was able to push through, because I think Russellville proved to be the better team. Marion's pitcher, I give him a lot of credit, because it felt like he kept getting himself out of jams, and Russellville would just threaten, and then he would pitch his way out of jams, to his credit, but you felt like, okay, Russellville, you got to push and run across the board. You've been threatening all day. Don't let Marion hang around and steal this one from you. You've clearly outplayed them. And so for them to get those runs across later in the game, I thought was huge. And, of course, as you mentioned, Moyer was just sensational, shut down the Patriots. So, again, it's a great performance from the Russellville Cyclones. And I look forward to talking with Coach Long about it more when we hear from him.
Yeah, we've got Coach Long. He's on my phone. He's going to call back into the studio office phone there, and he's going to be able to get on the show. So we're going to have him on momentarily. We'll let you know about some of the other things we're going to hit today. We're going to look at the NBA playoffs. Donald Sterling, apparently he was going to sell. He was going to let his wife sell, and now he's going to fight till the bloody end, which may come sooner than later. We can only be so lucky. But he's apparently going to fight now, so we'll talk a little bit about that. The NFL, Des Bryant, Andre Johnson, and looks like Sean Lee, talented Dallas Cowboys linebacker, oft injured once more, torn ACL.
Yeah, Sean Lee. It's an unfortunate injury for the Dallas Cowboys, but at this point, I have to say you're used to it without Dallas. They've got some young players they need to step up.
They definitely do. So we'll look at that, some more NFL stuff. And then we'll look at the Hogs traveling to Virginia for the baseball regional. Can they make it out? That's our CrossFit Russellville poll question today. Can the Hogs baseball team make it out of Virginia into a super regional where they'll need a little bit of help from South Carolina? They'll need South Carolina to get upset if they beat Virginia to host a super regional at Baum, which would be a huge coup for them in more ways than one. So we'll see if the Razorback baseball team can make it out. But speaking of a team that plays well at Baum Stadium, we've got Coach Matt Long of the Russellville Cyclones, head baseball coach, on the line with us. Coach Long, how's it feel to be a state champ?
Well, it's the best way to describe it is just surreal. It is a dream of a lifetime for me, and just a once in a lifetime deal for a lot of kids. And all I can say is a dream. It's taxing on your mental tiredness and your physical tiredness, but it's unbelievable.
Well, you guys had a great season. We've talked a lot about the baseball team over the last couple of years, and Weldon's got some good questions to ask about how it's gone over the last couple of years. But talk about this season a little bit. We want to get to the championship game itself, but talk about a little bit of how you got there this year.
Well, it was the season. It was like a roller coaster. It was one week we're beating a Conway and a Catholic and some Greenwoods and South, and then the next week we falter against someone we think we should beat, and so we go rock along for about 6 or 7 weeks like a roller coaster, and then I think it was back the end of April we were down 6 or 7 runs to Van Buren in the non-conference games, and our kids just looked at each other and said, "Let's go," and I think we won that game like 9-7 and battled, and since the end of April, the look in our kids' eyes was unbelievable. I kind of knew back then that we were going to be kind of special, and when the state tournament started, we were on a roll, and our pitching, our hitting was great the last month or 6 weeks of the season, but our pitching was unbelievable. I don't know if you guys realize, but we played 4 state tournament games and allowed 1 run, and that 1 run was unearned, and it was just unbelievable. We hit the ball when we needed to, but our pitching staff is like anybody else, college level, major league level. Your pitching is where it's at, and those guys were unreal.
I was going to say, it's no surprise Mark Moyer was the MVP of the state tournament and was your winning pitcher with the complete game in the state championship game. Is it true, Coach, that he called the infield together and told them not to dogpile him? Is that just urban legend?
That would be news to me. I had no idea.
Oh, ask him about it. I saw it on Twitter.
I was looking down at my hitters spray charts, and I didn't even know that the kids came together. And matter of fact, last night at about midnight, I was watching the rebroadcast of the game on the National Federation website, and I'd be honest with you, I don't know what he called them together and said.
Well, I saw on Twitter, he said this was the truth, that he called them together, and I guess as a show of confidence, he told them, "Hey, I'm claustrophobic. Don't dogpile me after this strikeout." So I thought that was really cool. If that's the truth, that's pretty awesome.
Well, I believe it now because, to be honest with you, when I watched the rebroadcast last night when we had 2 outs and he called them together, and I saw the camera peel on Mark, and when they all started dogpiling, I see Mark run out towards shortstop away from him. So I'm assuming that you're right. I didn't have any idea.
Well, Coach Weldon Braxton here. Congratulations again on a state championship. And, Mark and I, we followed this baseball team, of course, for a number of years. But, going back to a couple of years ago when you guys had a solid team, you ran into a tough opponent. I believe it was Mountain Home a couple of years ago. But you had a really good team, and you came up short. What's the process been like trying to rebuild? You had a lot of veterans, a lot of seniors on that team, trying to replace that and get back to this level.
Well, that 2 years ago, that was, we got beat in the semifinals by El Dorado, and
that's right.
A lot of folks said, why was it us? And I tried to tell everybody, it's just like I said a while ago, it's about pitching, and the kid that El Dorado pitched against us was pretty special that day, and obviously that day hurt a lot, and that bunch of kids meant a lot to me, still mean a lot to me, and I thought that at that time we had the best team in 6A in the state, and it just goes to prove to you that just because you think you got the best players doesn't mean you're always going to make it, and those kids sure deserved it. But I just believe in my heart one thing that's helped this bunch was the majority of our starters from this run were sitting in the dugout watching those kids and what happened, and I just think it's one of those deals where it was a life lesson and a sports lesson and a baseball lesson to find out to see some of the errors that we made and how we didn't capitalize, and just rebuilding the team. I made the decision that a couple of years ago that we were going to try to put our best. In the past, for about I don't know how many years, a couple of decades of my old life is trying to hit the ball, trying to outscore folks. You want to have great pitching, but we made a decision that we were going to put our best defensive lineup in every game behind our pitching, and I think it proved that maybe that we were right, that it's about pitching and defense, and I think that's how we won it all.
Well, you obviously did made the right decision, but as you do something like that, when you put your defense on the field and you have to limit mistakes and things like that, you're going to rely on some good performances, both on the mound and in the field, and you're going to have timely hits. Why don't you share with us a little bit about? I like to get coaches in here and let them name drop a little bit about their players. So, give us some names of some folks who came up big for you during the season, during the state tournament run, and during the state championship game.
Well, there's been so much talk about our pitching, and obviously we got to start there. But so much emphasis has been put on Mark Moyer, and obviously it should because he was just dominant. But throughout the season, we just great. Our varsity pitchers. We had 4 guys who logged every inning this year in varsity pitching, and besides Mark, you had Jacob Barker, a senior, and did an unbelievable job. But I'm trying to remember offhand. I believe he finished the season 5-2 on the mound, and on top of that, Jacob was unbelievable defensively for us. We moved him from 3rd to 2nd this year because we thought that our velocity would be up with all our pitchers. That our up the middle would be obviously our most important thing. So Jacob Barker was probably our best all-around player this year. For everything, for offense and defense, and then you got to slide over to another pitcher, Garrett Freeman. Garrett's a kid that pitched a little bit for us last year, and Garrett beat Catholic this year, logged several innings for us, did a great job. Obviously, shut out Sheridan in the quarterfinals, and then we had Austin Robinson, senior. He signed Crowder. Austin did a great job. He didn't log as many innings on the mound as he would have liked to, but did a great job. Defensively, did a great job for us. Hit the ball well for us, and then you got to go with Cody Underhill at shortstop. Cody was our team leader in batting average, and he's been a 3-year starter and just unbelievable leader, Christian influence on our kids, and just a great kid, defensive player, offensive player. And We have several reasons we won. We had Chase Bickanowski, a junior who didn't play as a sophomore. He was a decathlete in track and decided to come back out and play. And Chase made himself into a heck of a player and started for us. I think every game except one started for us in the left field and did a great job. And Andy Campbell, obviously you can't leave Andy out. Andy was, I think, hit 407 on the season. Of course, everybody knows Andy's a heck of a basketball player, but that's a kid that if he just played baseball, I've said all along that he's got Division I talent as a baseball player. And not last but not least, but our little anchor on this team. People talk about the Moyers and the Underhills and the Barkers, but Andrew Elam as our catcher was just unbelievable. I watched the replay last night and did not even realize during the game in the finals that Andrew probably saved us one or two runs as a defense, behind the plate, and did a great job throwing people out, hit the ball well for us this year, and we couldn't have done it without Andrew. He was he was our backbone. And I can't leave a couple more people out. We had some young kids that stepped up, especially defensively. Jacob Bowles is a sophomore. He became, Jacob's going to be able to hit the ball when he gets a little older and stronger, and he did a good job hitting for us, but he was so huge playing third base for us and playing second base for us, depending on who was pitching. And then late in the season, we kind of got lucky and discovered that Cole McCown, another sophomore, is one heck of a defensive player, and he played right field for us in the state tournament. And I know I'm sitting here going through our whole roster, but just to be quite honest, I hope I didn't leave anybody out, but because I'm still my head's still in a spin.
That's all right.
But the biggest thing about our team was I could name all of them. The reason we won is because folks that didn't play. A lot of teams there's jealousy about who plays and who doesn't, and I'm sure kids were frustrated they didn't play, but they never showed it. It was all out support for whoever was in the game, and vice versa. The kids that were in the game were keeping everybody involved, and it was just a dream season for kids becoming a team and supporting each other, and it was just an unbelievable experience.
Wow, Coach.
Yeah, joined by Russellville Cyclone state championship winning head coach Matt Long. Coach, take us back through the game. Now, the game was low scoring. There was no score early on. You guys got players on base consistently but couldn't get them across. What was going through your mind as the coach as you were trying to get that run across? You were close, you were threatening, but you just couldn't do it until you were able to break open later. What was your mindset as a coach during that time?
Well, I will be dead honest with you. I'm one of those coaches that we could be in the middle of a regular season game, a non-conference game that doesn't matter anything, and my stomach stays in a knot the whole time. I'm just kind of high energy, and it was very, very odd because when the state tournament started, day one against Silent Springs, I just saw it in our kids' eyes what they wanted and what they wanted to accomplish, and God is my witness. We're in the finals, and it was just a heck of a game, defensive game, double plays, and we're stealing bases and running defenders right into hits. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know why, I guess it may have been an intervention from above, but I was as calm as I've ever been in 23 years of coaching because I just knew that, we were going to keep hitting the ball and something, sometime, somewhere, we were going to push a run or two across. And it's easy to be confident when you got a guy on the mound that's dominating like Mark was. And I'll be honest with you, I just thought if we could just break through, I knew we would. I wanted to remain calm because I knew the kids needed that, and I just felt good about the whole process.
Well, Coach, I'm glad you brought up emotions because I saw a picture of the guys running out to the mound after the championship, was settled, and Mark had thrown that last strike, and the guys are all running out to the mound, and you're hit both knees, and it seemed like it was a release of emotion that obviously 20-some years in the making. Talk about that experience and just really how you were feeling at that moment.
Well, I told my wife, I said, I don't want anybody thinking that I'm trying to do something, draw attention to myself. I sure didn't because, it's all about the kids and the players and the managers and the volunteer coaches. And, all I could think of when we got the last out was, it was a blessing from above. Those things don't come around very often, and I was a little bit weak in the knees as well. And I just, my first reaction was just to thank my Lord for blessing us with the opportunity to do that.
Well, Coach, man, it was an awesome season, and glad to have been able to follow it, and to see you guys cap it off with the state championship was definitely worth all the nervousness that you went throughout the season. And we definitely appreciate your time. Want to say congratulations once more. Tell your kids that we're proud, and we thank you for your time today. We'll have this replay up later on, so hopefully everybody can hear about how proud you are of your guys. It was a really an honor to talk to you today, Coach Long.
Thanks. I appreciate you guys covering us, and you guys are a blessing to our program as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. That's Coach Matt Long, the Russellville head baseball coach who just won a state championship. You can hear in his voice how excited he was for his kids and how proud he was of those guys. Again, the soccer team, we thank Coach Fuller for calling on Friday. He was pretty confident himself. He said, we're going to go win a state championship. That's exactly what they did. Get a goal in sudden death overtime to win a state championship for the 6A soccer boys. Cyclones just, hardcore. They don't mess around over there in Russellville.
They don't mess around, especially in the spring sports.
They put guys like Weldon Braxton out there for the world, so look out.
What can you say?
We're going to hit our break. When we come back, we're going to give you a little bit of information. The Brightest Stars Banquet is tomorrow.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KARK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Big thank you to Coach Matt Long and Coach Fuller with the Russellville Cyclones baseball and soccer teams, respectively, for their time over the last couple days. A huge congratulations to those kids for winning the state championships in baseball and soccer as well. Always very proud to see teams from this area win state championships in anything. It's just fun to see the kids. You watch them through the year. You watch them win. You watch them lose. You've seen them in the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and to see them win a state championship is always really cool for me. So just imagine how it is for the families and the coaches and the players themselves. It's got to be a really cool experience. So congratulations once more to them. We're going to be celebrating those players and more tomorrow at the Brightest Stars Banquet. You've heard us talk about it for a couple months now, and it is upon us, Weldon, tomorrow night. 6 o'clock, Russellville High School cafeteria. We're going to have all kinds of people student athletes, coaches, families, friends from around the River Valley, from the Pope Johnson and Yale County areas, 10 high schools, 22 awards. We've got all the plaques in there. We've got all the certificates framed up. We're ready to roll. Maddie's working on the production for the finalists, and we're just going to have a great time honoring Players of the Year in all sports, Coach of the Year, Assistant Coach of the Year, lots of good stuff with the Help Network and River Valley Leader in the Sports Blitz. Just looking forward to an incredible inaugural event.
Well, it's finally here. We've been talking about it. I mean, there's only so much you can say, Mark, before it's time to actually do it.
Yep.
And we're at this point. We've pushed it. We've pumped it up for several months now. Preparations are done. And it's finally here. I mean, how many Monday, Wednesday, Fridays can I get on this show saying how great it is? Eventually, I run out of things to say. I'm happy it's here tomorrow. I look forward to being there. I look forward to everything that's going to be going on. We've mentioned Italian Gardens is catering the event. So everything is the way it's supposed to be. We've heard from several people. I mean, we've talked before, Mark, about people who won't be there, but you know what? I'm focused on the people who will be there, and there'll certainly be more than plenty who will be there to accept their award, to be acknowledged as a nominee at the very least. So it's going to be a wonderful event, great opportunity to share with the community and with these athletes.
Oh, definitely. Been asked a couple of questions, and I want to make clear. We're going with business casual. You can wear a tie if you'd like to, but you don't have to. You can wear a collared shirt and khakis, or collared shirt and some slacks, whatever you feel like wearing. Just come out there and be comfortable. If you're in athletic shorts, you're probably going to feel a little out of place. But if you're in a tux, you're also going to feel a little out of place. So somewhere in the middle there, it's going to be kind of a laid-back event. What we're going to do is we're going to welcome everybody, tell them what the event is, the vision behind it. Then we're going to feed you. Italian Gardens. Been talking with Spence Roberts, the owner there of Italian Gardens. Looking forward to doing that. He's working on the food right now. We're going to feed you. Then we're going to go through the presentations. It's going to be quick. There's not going to have to be any speeches. You don't have to worry about an acceptance speech or presenting anything. You don't have to worry about the coach coming up and talking about his players. Nothing like that. It's just a night for you guys to come sit and enjoy it. We'll present the awards. We'll get a picture right there as we present the award, and you'll go sit down, and then we'll be done. Knock this out in an hour and a half, 2 hours tops, and we'll be out of there so that you can enjoy the rest of your night. So I'm looking forward to having a bunch of folks there, and like Weldon said, we're going to be happy with who gets to show up. I know it's boys and girls state, so there are several athletes who were nominated that can't come, and there's even some finalists that can't come, which stinks. I know of at least one winner that she doesn't know she's a winner, but I do, and she's not going to be able to be there, so that's kind of going to be rough. But for anybody that wants to know, all the finalists get a free ticket for themselves, 2 parents, and their head coach. So there's four tickets per finalist that are spoken for right there. You get in for free. You don't even have to bring anything. You just show up. I am Michael Perry. These are my 2 parents. This is my coach. Go on in. We'll check you off the list. If you buy a ticket online, you can go to rivervalleyleader.com. In the top right corner of the page, Brightest Stars Banquet tickets. Buy here now. You click that. It takes you to a PayPal account. You can buy your ticket right there. Your name will go on the same list with the finalists, the presenters, the sponsors, everybody that didn't buy a hard copy ticket. The only people who are going to have to present anything are the ones who bought a hard copy ticket either here at the office or at one of the local high schools where we've got those tickets placed. And those people who, sometimes people don't feel like buying things online. They'd rather buy from something they can have in their hand and say, this is my ticket, and that's fine. Those people are the only ones who are going to have to hand over a ticket. Everyone else is going to be on a list. We'll check you off when you show up and show some ID. You'll go on in, you'll enjoy your night. So $25 a ticket, well, you can't beat that for what you're getting as far as getting to honor all these student athletes from 10 schools. You're getting the production value. Maddie's doing some production. So, that's $25 worth right there.
At
Italian
least.
Gardens dinner. You get to hang out and rub elbows with some of the best and brightest. You like it? From around the River Valley. It's just going to be an incredible event.
Yeah, it really is. Now, who is taking the tickets at the door? Because when I show up, I don't want any hassle whatsoever.
You're not even going to have to say anything. You just walk on in.
I'd make sure whoever's taking up tickets, I hope they recognize me.
I haven't got that far yet. I've got everybody else placed. We're going to have some Help Network volunteers who are going to help us serve. We're actually going to do buffet style food, so it's going to be 10 minutes before
quick.
everybody's served. You're just going to get in line and go. So that's going to be quick. And then, we're going to have somebody from Help Network probably taking tickets
See, quickness that's the best thing you got going with this event, Mark. Quickness, efficiency. Let's get these speeches out of here.
We ain't trying to be there 4 hours.
Yeah, long time with the food. No, let's get your food quick. Let's get some awards handed out. I mean,
let's go to the house.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. So, you guys, those of you that are coming, you'll be glad you did. Those of you that miss it, just come next year. You're going to enjoy this event for years to come, I hope. It's looking like things are going to work out well enough that we can do this, make it a yearly thing rather than just a one-off. So I'm hoping that we can do that. Let's hit our second break, Maddie. We've got NBA playoffs, Donald Sterling, NFL, Hog baseball, plenty of stuff. I don't know that we'll have enough time to hit it all, but we're going to do our best. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter here in the Cogswell Motors Studios. We'll be back right after this break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the 4s.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
We'll get to today's CrossFit Russellville poll question before too long. It is about the Razorback baseball team going on to the regional tournament there in Charlottesville, Virginia.
That's right.
Going to play one of the top national seeds. One of the things we wanted Arkansas to avoid, going to a national seed. They got just hot enough in the SEC tournament, winning 3 games, to work their way into a low 2 seed, and now they get to go into a national seeds regional there against Virginia, who they've struggled a little bit of late. So we want to know if Arkansas can make it out of that regional. You know, like we said, if they, I heard somebody talk about this yesterday. If they had lost that second game, they would have been a 3 seed. So they may have been able to get into a better regional. If they not been in a top 8 seed.
And it's tough. I mean, geographically, I know people were upset. You look at the Texas teams. They kind of, the 3 and 2 seeds were kind of similar in the right place. But you're right. If they had fallen to a 3, maybe they would have gotten a favorable match. If they were a 2, they probably could have went to OSU. But, I think Nebraska's a 2 there. And, Arkansas, they split with them. So didn't really gain a lot of ground there. But it's a tough regional.
It's going to be tough regardless. Arkansas, if they were able to make it out, looks like they'd have South Carolina. At South Carolina in a super regional, if the seeds hold in that one, which we're talking about Arkansas beating a 1 seed, so there's no guarantee. If Arkansas was to win the regional and the 3 or 4 seed from the South Carolina Regional was to win, Arkansas could host at Baum Stadium. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for both of those things to happen. Arkansas looks like they're going to get Jalen Beeks back, probably in a limited role, but at least he'll be back from that sore arm. So we'll talk a little bit about that poll question here in a little bit. Do you think they'll make it out of the regional? Why or why not? That's the question. But let's look real quickly at the NBA playoffs. We would be remiss if we didn't
it's not
mention,
quick, Mark. It's not quick.
We would be remiss if we didn't mention that Miami's up 3-1, and the San Antonio Spurs and Oklahoma City Thunder tied at 2 games apiece. Our boy Serge Ibaka, we talked about this before the series. I gave it to San Antonio in 7. Watching Serge Ibaka play, and the fact that he's back after what appeared to be a season-ending injury, the fact that he's back has changed this series completely.
Season-ending, that's what they said, Mark. That's what they said. Look, here's the thing.
Conspiracy?
Well, it was another show, Mark, another show. But look, when you look at this series coming into it, you had 2 lingering factors. Obviously, Tony Parker came in healthy. And so when he was healthy and Serge wasn't healthy, that obviously tipped the scales to San Antonio, which for me is great because I like watching San Antonio more than I watch like in Oklahoma City. I want to see San Antonio play Miami in the NBA Finals, but that's just me. I know Mr. Miami Heat here wants to see the Thunder. Understandable. I understand. I'd rather see Oklahoma City too. But the thing of it is when Serge Ibaka is in the lineup, when Oklahoma City is Oklahoma City, look, I love San Antonio, but they have nothing for Oklahoma City. There's a reason why they've lost 6 straight with Serge Ibaka to Oklahoma City. It's just a bad matchup because San Antonio is going to rely on their execution and European style and all of that. But when you're long and athletic and you're ripping and you're running, there's only so much you can do. And that's going to be a real problem for the Spurs. They're going to try to play Ginobili, maybe start and move some things. They're going to try whatever they can. But as long as Ibaka is wreaking havoc and as long as Westbrook is just an absolute terror, obviously, and Kevin Durant scoring, they have nothing for him. And this was my concern as a Spurs supporter. It was my concern because Oklahoma City is just a tough matchup. I think Miami can handle the Thunder, but again, San Antonio, they need Serge Ibaka to get gimpy again, and that's their only chances. If he, because I feel like he's been playing on borrowed time. Is he going to retweak? Is he going to retweak? And if he does, it's game on for the Spurs. But this is looking very, very similar to something I've seen before, and it's ugly if you're a Spurs fan.
I picked the Spurs to win this series. And I told you outright, I don't know. I really don't know why. They win the first 2 games, and it was just like, well, you can tell. They're not afraid to go to the rim. They're when Tony Parker's able to get to the rim, everything else is just opened up because they have to collapse on him. And as the series, as the first 2 games went on, it was just a clinic. They were in clinic mode, as you called it. 35-point win in Game 2. And then Game 3, Serge Ibaka comes back, and you can immediately see that rim protector is there. And the guy who, he makes the most incredibly athletic plays. He hit his first couple of shots, and that's not even what they really need him for. They need him to protect the rim. And then last night, he had a play that really, it encapsulates what he does as a great player for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Somebody, I don't remember who it was, came into him and jumps up to shoot a little floater, and he blocks it out of the air straight to somebody. I think it was Russell Westbrook, who swings out this way. He runs the floor and gets a layup. I'm like, dude, just blocked a shot and got a layup on the other. That's the guy that makes the difference in this series. I'm not saying he's more important than Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, but when you put those 3 together, it's a deadly combination. Last night, he only had 9 points, 8 rebounds to go with his 3 blocks, but when you've put 40 points for Russell Westbrook, 31 for Kevin Durant, somebody to protect the paint in Serge Ibaka and keep guys like Tony Parker out of the lane. It's a bad matchup for the San Antonio Spurs, like you mentioned.
I'm glad you mentioned Westbrook and Durant. I'm going to get to those 2 in a second because I got something I need to address with them. But, Game 3, Mark, and you asked me on Twitter, what I thought about it because the Spurs, the Thunder did win somewhat handily. But Game 3, I just felt like more of a bad-ish game for the Spurs. Like, the Spurs didn't just get blown out from the opening tip. It was just kind of the Thunder, the momentum. They needed it, desperation. Still felt good if I'm a Spurs person. But that Game 4 now has you thinking, oh, good Lord, there's nothing we can do with these people whatsoever, which does, Mark, it does bring me to Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. I agree with everything you said about Serge Ibaka, but I'll say this, though. I still can't give them a pass for a 35-point loss. If you want to say defensively, they gave up a lot of points because of Surge, that's one thing. But they flat out were not very good as a dynamic duo, two of the top 4 players, in my opinion, in all of basketball. I don't know what happened in Oakland, back in San Antonio. If they do the same thing again in San Antonio, Spurs are going to be in good shape. But I can't let that go because they not only lost, they got embarrassed. Two of the top players. They can't let that happen again.
As we say, pretty much every time a series is tied, the winner of this next game is probably going to win the series. It was pretty well guaranteed that if Oklahoma City didn't win Game 3, they were losing the series. It was like a 97% chance they'd lose the series. So they didn't go down 3-1. They tied the series up at 2 games apiece. Now they go to Game 5 in San Antonio. If Oklahoma City hopes to win this series, they have to win this game. And if they don't, San Antonio's got a big advantage where Oklahoma City's got to go home just to stay alive, and then they got to go back to San Antonio. So Oklahoma City, I don't know how much energy they've expended to get back to 2 games apiece, but Maddie, it's a lot.
I was going to say, Weldon's the only one in this room or anywhere outside of San Antonio who wants to see San Antonio go.
No, he and Skip Bayless.
You and Skip Bayless.
Boy, Skip.
What I was going to say is I agree with you guys. We were talking earlier about how I think that the Heat would have an easier time with the Thunder, but I honestly don't care as long as this series goes long. If it goes 7 games, I don't care because anything to wear either team out and more, it would wear out the Spurs, and I'm okay with that. So if the Spurs win the next game, I'm not going to be heartbroken because I think that the Thunder would answer back and it's going 7. So that's my main goal as just a LeBron and Heat fan. I want this series in the West to go 7 games, to be a really long, rough series, and I want Miami to wrap it up tonight so that they have a lot of rest.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And we're going to talk about Miami, Mark, but I'll say this about the Spurs. I really thought the Spurs needed to come out in that game like they had to have it. That's why, last night I told you when we were here, I think this is going to be a great game. Obviously, the Thunder have to win it. And I think the Spurs, they don't need to let this young athletic team gain some confidence. They need to go up 3-1, effectively dropping the hammer. They didn't. And I was like, wow, what's wrong with the Spurs' effort? Then I thought, well, maybe they tried and they just can't do anything about it. Maybe that was the case for San Antonio.
It has to have been. I mean, I don't see why you would not try in a series like that. This Game 5 is huge. If San Antonio hopes to win the series, they've got a little bit more to rest on than Oklahoma City does. But if Oklahoma City wins Game 5 in San Antonio, that's a big deal for them. I'm going to be interested to see. Oklahoma City played a lot of minutes for Westbrook and Durant last night because they were trying to keep. Remember, the game got away from San Antonio and they sat their starters. And Oklahoma City gave up a little bit of a run. It was more than a little bit, quite a big run there to the San Antonio reserves, who got it back within 10.
Yeah.
And they kept their starters in. So they played like 45 and 41 minutes for Westbrook and Durant. So I'll be interested to see the energy level. They're young guys, so they probably will be fine. But if it comes down to a tight, close game at the end of Game 5, I would be interested to see if the quick turnaround after all those minutes comes to hurt them.
You just don't know what you're gonna see from Oklahoma City mentally. That's my only problem with them is I don't know mentally what I'm going to get. When they are aggressive, when they get a lead out on you, they bury you. I mean, you talk about front runner, not in a bad way, but Oklahoma City, they just put the avalanche on you. But if you get Oklahoma City off kilter a little bit and you jump out on them, they kind of just start playing bad, and Westbrook and Durant get out of sync. So I'm wondering what kind of Oklahoma City will we see the rest of the series. And even if they play Miami, to me, that's the main reason why I like Miami, just because mentally they're going to be more locked in Oklahoma City. They got to address that as a Thunder team and an organization.
Miami's up 3-1. Got another good performance from the big three. We saw in Game 3, it was Chris Bosh who went nuts. Or maybe was that Game 4? Man, my time's running together.
Well, Game 4 is when
he went nuts and had 8 points right there at the very beginning of the game. And Miami was able to play well enough at home to get both games. And now they go back to Indiana with a chance to close it out. And this, to me, is one of those games I feel like Miami's going to come out really, really hot at the very beginning. I'm not saying they're going to shoot great. I'm saying they're going to come out with as much energy as they possibly can. They're going to try to blitz Indiana and see if they'll quit. and so that they can win the game that way. And if they can't, it's going to be a dogfight. I'll be very interested to see what Indiana has left in this tank.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where I think Indiana can win or lose this game.
Indiana, to me, I never liked Indiana, this version of them. They just get on my nerves. When you listen to what was said after the game, Roy Hibbert talking about the play calling, Paul George talking about looking at the stat sheet.
After game one, when they shot 22 more free throws than Miami, he wants to say something about Miami shooting 17 more than them.
And then he's going to talk about Lance Stevenson and, Lance is young.
This
he knows
is what
to keep
they
his
do,
mouth
man. They're just
shut.
like, who do we blame? Who do we blame?
That team gets on my nerves, Matty.
They've had more free throws in this series than the Heat, and the Heat have fouled the Pacers 4 more times.
So yeah.
So I mean, you can talk about that game 4. That's what made me so mad, because Paul George running his mouth. It's like, well, how about you look at the whole series and you have shot more free throws than they have. So what's your excuse for being 3-1? You know.
Well, Paul George is not the leader of a team. He's talented. Look at his numbers. He puts up numbers game after game. That's what I call him. He's a talented player. He can score. He can rebound. He can do a lot of different things. He's not the leader of a team whatsoever. Indiana, they're just a team that makes a bunch of excuses. I have little respect for them. If they're gonna win. From Miami, what I don't want to see is what I saw, I guess it was, game 3 against Brooklyn, where it was about LeBron saying, okay, I'm going to set the tone so we can close this or put the hammer down. Then everybody else just disappears in the rest of the game. Yeah. I want to see everybody engaged because, in that Brooklyn game, other people were kind of standing around watching, and that kind of came back to bite them. I want to see everybody from Miami engage as a team collective avalanche, not just LeBron, scoring 18 first quarter points and everybody picking their nose.
See, I can see this game being one of two ways. Either Indiana finds a way to grit it out in an 89-84 type game, or LeBron comes out and has a triple-double with 40 points. And, it's just one of those for the ages, up yours kind of games to Indiana saying, no, you don't have a chance. It's over. Right here on your court, we're going to go ahead and celebrate, and I'm going to be on your scorer's table jumping up and down, that kind of thing. Because to me, man, what Indiana has done, they've done a lot of talking this year.
That's what they do.
For a team that's never accomplished anything, they've done a lot of talking. Oh, we want the 1 seed. Okay, you got it. We want Miami. Okay, you got them. Now you're down 3-1, and you got people like Lance Stevenson talking to LeBron. Oh, I think it's a sign of weakness that he would talk trash to me. Well, look what happened last game. You had 0 points with 5 minutes left in the game. LeBron had, what did LeBron have? Let me refresh my memory. 32 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. He just gave you the middle finger, Lance Stevenson, and you deserved it. Paul George, after the game, come out, it was just the free throws. It was the free throw discrepancy. And then LeBron comes and looks at the stat sheet and says, we had 20 points off their turnovers. That has nothing to do with free throws. And so
he was right.
To me, Indiana is just a bunch of wine bags. And like you said, when I pointed in my head, they don't have it in here. They don't have the guts to actually be able to win this series. They also don't have the mental toughness because when something happens, they find somebody to throw under the bus.
They do. Look, they are really an embarrassment to the teams of the 80s and 90s in which they try to be like. Larry Bird, obviously the architect. From a physical standpoint, he's accomplished trying to build the team he wants, but mentally, nowhere near the way 80s and 90s teams were mental. I mean, obviously, you go back, the Jordan Bulls, the Bad Boy Pistons, the Lakers, Celtics, even teams that didn't win, Reggie's Pacers, the Knicks with Oakley and Patrick and Starks and all those teams just mentally tough. This team tries to play tough, and I've said it all year long, they're not really tough. They try to play tough, and it's just being exposed.
They're that fake tough guy. Big shout out to Roy Hibbert, 0 points in the game.
Again, Roy.
Yeah. If they're going to win the series at all, which they're not, but if they were going to win the series at all, Roy Hibbert has to be 7'2" against 6'9" guys. I mean, right now, he looks like he's got his thumb up his rear end. He's 7'2" against 6'9" guys. How do you not dominate?
He's playing terrible. And I like Miami's pressure defense. I really thought, if you're going to have Chris Bosh at the 5, which to me that's what they want to do to be optimal offensively, then they're going to have to speed the game up. They pressured. Indiana's a below-average ball handling team. George Hill can't really dribble. C.J. Watson just wants to score. He doesn't want to handle the ball. Stevenson can't really dribble. So you talk about putting heat on the ball, getting the game going up and down. Indiana shot a high percentage in the first half, but it didn't matter. The pace was way out of control. They're not built to run like that. Miami was. Thought that was a good move from Spo.
Yeah, they have to get after Indiana. I saw a press, and we talked about this last night.
Yeah.
How often in the NBA do you see a team press? Like, get up in the front court and try their best to turn you over before you get across half court. It's a nuisance most of the time, but they did it out. I think they were trying to speed up the game and trying to get these ball handlers for Indiana that just aren't very good ball handlers out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, and I'll just add that. I mean, really, the last time I saw anything close was probably Jordan's Bulls. They pressed a little bit in the second championship run. They put a little more full court press on than you normally see, but I hadn't really seen anything since then in the NBA.
No, it doesn't happen very often. I know Maddie's over there all happy because the Pacers are playing terrible and the Heat got a chance to win the series. So we'll continue to monitor that one as Game 5 is tonight between the Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers. Maddie's over there making gyrations, and I'm wondering what's going on. Is that exactly a 6-game series? Yeah, 7:30 tonight is the tip as the Heat try to close it out in Indiana. One more NBA topic. And I'm getting sick of talking about this dude. I really am. Donald Sterling, a couple days ago, I guess it was before, no, maybe we talked about it on Friday, but he was talking about how he was going to let Shelly, his wife, estranged wife, sell the team. He said he was going to take his hands off, let her sell the team. You hear people start talking about how much it's worth, and the bidding was apparently going to start at $1.8 billion with a B. Mm-hmm. And apparently Donald Sterling heard that, and he thinks my team's worth $1.8 billion, and they're going to take it from me. No, he's now saying that the proceedings are a sham. This is the ESPN story, that he vows to fight the NBA to the bloody end. He's going to. He thinks that the NBA, what they're trying to do, is illegal. And Donald Sterling, we wouldn't have expected anything less. He's going to try to fight this until the very end of his life, which hopefully is sooner than later.
He has problems. I mean, beyond being, racist and all of the things people want to call it. He has. I mean, I don't think he knows day to day what he wants to do. I think one day he wanted the wife to sell. I think he woke up and forgot he said she could sell it. And now he's back to wanting to fight for it again. He's going to go to bed tonight. He's going to ask, honey, how's the sale going? But you said no, I didn't say that. And then he's going to be back to, he's got issues. It may get to an ugly situation. The vote may happen again. We thought the vote was unnecessary. Now it may be necessary. I don't even know what's going on with the situation because it's so back and forth.
Here we go. Donald Sterling's lawyer, Max Bletcher, told ESPN on Tuesday that his client, quote, is going to fight to the bloody end and has effectively disavowed the agreement he reached with his wife last week that would allow her to negotiate a sale of the team. I don't know what agreement she has with them, but I'm saying to you today, he disavows anything she's doing to sell the team, Bletcher said. He says, it's my team, and I'll sell it when and if I get around to it. Asked why Sterling seemed to have a change of heart, Bletcher said he was in a state of shock at first. Now he's recovering, and he's much more feisty.
A state of something.
She apparently is undeterred, and she is going to continue to move swiftly to sell the team. It's going to be a mess. Regardless, though, Donald Sterling is not going to own this team in the long run. If you look 5-10 years from now, Donald Sterling will not be the owner of the Clippers.
Right.
But the NBA and its players have got to hope that he doesn't own this team by the time training camp rolls around.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, the players are going to have, and I think they will understand that even if Camp gets here and his name is still on the title, the fact that the NBA has taken all the lengths that it could take, I think they're okay with that. I think they can play. Now, the sponsors, I don't know how they'll react. I believe that, once things move in the direction of getting him out, they'll warm back up again. But it wouldn't surprise me if his name is still on it come camp, and the players, although they're wanting to riot and boycott now, I think they'll be okay with it come camps. Not they want their money, first of all, but also because they know the league is doing everything it can do.
I believe what they've done is illegal, and it will not hold up in court. Bletcher told ESPN, I believe that they're doing is a blatant invasion of his constitutional rights because they're using a tape recording that he did not consent to, and under California law, that recording cannot be used for any purpose for any proceeding. So if the basis of their case is illegal evidence, they don't have much of a case. The whole thing is a pile of garbage. That's what we were talking about in the very beginning, being very interesting.
Well, see, the tape to me has nothing to do with it. I mean, the tape was the start of it, but the tape led to me losing millions of corporate dollars. So, where it came from, it doesn't matter. All I know is people don't want to associate with my league and spend money on my league. Therefore, you are a detriment. I want you out. So, they can talk about the tape all they want. Can you replace those corporate dollars I lost? Because that's my issue.
That's an issue. That's the big issue. But to me, another big issue is the fact that was just a loose string about Donald Sterling's character. That when you started pulling, it started unraveling this piece of crap that you just have to stare at and think, this is the guy that you want. This is a guy that you want to have as a face of your franchise, the guy who is signing the checks. And no, you don't want anything to do with that guy. Corporate sponsors have said as much, basically pulling out, and players don't want to play for him. Coaches don't want to coach for him. Nobody's going to want anything to do with that organization. With him there, he's going to have to realize that eventually he's going to make a bunch of money on a sale, although he doesn't deserve it. But he's going to be gone sooner rather than later, because at the end of the day, he's not going to have a choice. Whether it's legal or illegal, he's not going to have a choice but to sell his team, because it's not going to be worth anything to him.
And this kind of goes back to the part of, how much do you really own a team? I think they're gonna redefine how this is written out, because when you own a team that's a part of a league, that's not like owning a car. Like, you can do anything you want with a car, you can turn it, you can do anything you want. When you have a team, you own it, you profit, you make decisions with it, but it still doesn't have any value without the league. It's still a part of the league. So I think that's kind of a gray area we're kind of getting into, as far as, okay, you own the team, but the team's part of our league. What are you going to do? You're going to take the Clippers and go, who are you going to go play against, the Washington Generals, and just play around the world? I mean, obviously you have to have the NBA, and then that goes beyond your ownership. So.
Yeah, just kick him out of the league if he doesn't want to sell. All right, let's move on real quickly. Just got a couple more minutes for our CrossFit Russellville poll question. Can the Razorback baseball team make it out alive out of the Charlottesville, Virginia baseball regional? Got to face a number 3. I saw an ESPN poll had them number 3, and somebody else said they were the number 1 overall seed. But I'll go with number 3 seed in the nation in Virginia. They're in that regional. Arkansas faces Liberty on Friday. If they win that, they'll get the winner of Virginia and whoever they're going to beat the crap out of. And then Arkansas, it looks like they're going to pitch Trey Killian in game 1. Is that
Trey
right?
Killian.
And then we don't know in game 2. So what Virginia is apparently going to do, and I don't know if they're actually going to do this or not, they've apparently got 2 really good pitchers. One, they think their game 2 guy is going to go in game 1 against a lesser opponent, and they're going to save their ace for game 2. Kind of a gutsy thing to do, because it could come back to bite you in the butt. But Arkansas could be facing Virginia's ace if they're able to get past Liberty in the first game.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one, because, look, Virginia's the number 1 team in the RPI. I mean, I guess that's probably where the confusion was. Number 1 team in the RPI. Arkansas is the number 2 seed, but they're actually the 3rd highest RPI mark, because my Liberty Flames are actually ranked higher in the RPI than Arkansas. Now, Liberty hadn't played a whole lot of people.
Weldon went to Liberty for his master's degree.
I did.
Just thought you should know.
They're my Liberty Flames. Now, the thing with Liberty is, obviously, they play in the Southern Conference. They're not playing great competition. So you wonder how their RPI is so high. Again, we talk about how stupid the RPI is. Liberty didn't play any SWAC teams, and so the SWAC took Arkansas from being possibly a top 5 RPI team to being ranked in the 30s. Arkansas didn't lose to those SWAC teams just by playing them. That knocked them down into the 30s, which is absolutely stupid. But Liberty, they have played ACC opponents. They played Virginia in Virginia Tech. They lost. They did beat Duke, and they did beat Clemson, who's a nationally ranked team. So Liberty can play, and obviously when you go through any league consistently, you can play. So that's going to be a tough one for Arkansas. Liberty ranked 28th in the RPI. If they get past that one, Virginia's, again, not going to be a team you want to mess with, 44-13 on the year. Jalen Beeks will give you something. I think they said he's about 50 pitches is all he can go this week, so you're going to have to spread those out. It's going to be tough. A couple of guys we're going to depend on. Colin Poche and some others aren't pitching that well. They may go with Jackson, the youngsters. So it's going to be tough, because the pitching is not what it used to be. Then the health, Baxendale wise, we're always monitoring that. So it's going to be difficult to get out of this regional.
this is going to sound bad, but Jalen Beeks, 50 pitches, man, there's no tomorrow if you don't win in this regional. I don't want to hurt the guy, but if he's healthy enough to pitch, okay, his arm's a little bit sore. If you pitch him, 75 pitches or something like that in a series, if he was to start, if you have to have him to start in a championship type game, if he can't come back in the super regional, well, he wasn't playing anyway. He's hurt.
Yeah.
So I mean, as long as you don't do permanent damage or something like that.
Well, I think that's the fear.
Man, that's just kind of rough to me that you're going to give me a guy who's so good for 50 pitches. Here you go. You got a little tease.
Well, what you got to understand is it's college. So, in the pros, World Series, they already make $20 million, sure, but Jalen Beeks has a lot of money in front of him. Obviously, he's going to be a high draft pick. He hadn't made any of that money yet. I think 50 pitches is really conservative. He probably could go 75, but Dave Van Horn doesn't want taking millions out of his hand, that blood on his hands. So I think it's understandable.
That makes sense.
But I agree as a fan, though, it's a little frustrating.
Well, and obviously, we're not in the training room to see exactly what's going on. So it just kind of struck me as like, man, if he could go and he's going to pitch it all. It's win or go home at this time of year, so I'm hoping that they'll get a good performance out of him regardless of how many pitches. Maybe he'll just pitch a complete game with 50 pitches. He'll just throw 3 pitch innings. He'll throw 3 pitch innings, just pop up.
That'd be nice.
We'll see how that goes for him. A couple things before we get out of here, I guess quick answers. Des Bryant says he deserves to be one of the highest paid NFL wide receivers. Agree?
One of.
Well, I mean, where would you put him? Top 10? Top 5?
He's top 10, pushing top 5.
I bet he'd be top. I'm just thinking about it. I bet he'd be top 5 for me.
Yeah, because with guys like Julio Jones getting hurt and stuff,
well, I mean, Julio would probably still be there too for me.
I gotta see him. 2 foot injuries. I gotta see Julio before But yeah, Dez probably getting that top 5.
Andre Johnson, true to his promise, did not show up to the first day of. I guess it's OTAs for the Houston Texans. Is that an issue?
No, I mean it's OTA. I mean, new coach, you probably want to know the playbook, but
they better get a quarterback.
He's upset, and he's a veteran, so
and he deserves to be. He's stuck with them for a long time. I know they paid him well, but he stuck with them when he could have gone elsewhere, thinking that they were going to continue to make a run at his championship, and here they are. No closer than they ever were in his career. And at this point in his life, he wants to win. So I can't blame him for saying, hey, come on, let's go get a quarterback. I don't want to be a part of a rebuilding effort. So Sean Lee, it looks like he has yesterday the news was that they feared he tore his ACL, and all signs this morning point to that he did tear his ACL. Talented Dallas linebacker, often injured and once more injured, out for the year. I say the year. He may end up making it back late, but I would assume he's probably done for the year. And that's just another, we talk about, I saw another show was doing tortured fan bases. Man, the freaking Dallas Cowboys of the last 20 years have got to be on that list. I know the Cubs, they've been tortured for 100 years, so there's some teams
the
like
Razorbacks?
That. The Razorbacks have got to be one. The Dallas Cowboys, good Lord.
It's worse to be kind of good, like the Cowboys. It's like they're not terrible. They're kind of good, but it's just like one of those things like you're always in limbo. But
that's what Jerry wants them. He's happy as long as they're kind of
They're making money.
Making money.
Yeah. All right, we got to get out of here. That's all the time we've got for today. Brightest Stars Banquet tomorrow, 6 o'clock at Russellville High School. Get your tickets. Go to rivervalleyleader.com, top right of the front page, or you can come by here, 1509 East Main, Suite 4, down from Brangus in that strip mall there. So you can get your tickets, your hard copy tickets. They're $25 a piece. Each finalist gets 2 tickets for their parents and their head coach, as well as a free ticket for themselves. And then anybody else will need a ticket. We're giving framed certificates of nomination to each nominee who did not make the top 3. So everybody that was nominated or was a finalist is going home with something. The winner's going home with the plaque. We're looking forward to a great night tomorrow, and we hope that you will be able to make it out to be a part of the event. So for Weldon and Maddie and even old Dave in here watching the show and learning a little bit about production, I'm Mark saying so long. We'll see you Friday at 11 o'clock with more Sports Blitz.